Good evening, everyone. I'm Molly. I'm the Executive Director here at the RAL National Association. I'm here with Brent Kesler and Hannah. You'll hear from me and how she's going to help us tonight in just a second. Brent is going to be talking to us about how to build wealth using your own debts, from what I understand. It's a 200-year-old concept that the uber wealthy use. So we are going to be hearing about that, and we're going to hear about how that has helped Brent change his life, really. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, there is a questions tab over on the right-hand side in your control panel. We are lucky enough tonight to have Hannah in there, and Hannah is Brent's daughter, and so she's going to be able to answer questions throughout the presentation. So unlike our normal presentations where you would ask questions at the end and we take another 20 or 30 minutes, right now, if you have something that sparks your interest, you have a question right that second, go ahead and type it in that questions tab area, and Hannah can answer it for you. If you have technical difficulties as well, you can also use that section for me to try and help you. But keep in mind, I'm going to send this recording out to you tomorrow as usual. And at the end, Brent is going to be offering you something special. So stick around, stick through the whole presentation. I think he's going to be talking for an hour and 25, an hour and 30 minutes tonight. So I promise it'll be worth it. But Brent, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I'm so excited to hear what you have to say.
Well, thanks, Molly. I'm excited, too, to share with your listeners. That's going to be kind of an outside-of-the-box concept I'm going to share tonight.
Perfect. Well, you go ahead and take it away, and we'll be good to go.
All right. We're going to share our screen here. Hannah's getting us all set up with that. Are we good, Molly? Can you see the screen?
You're great.
Okay, fantastic. Well, welcome, everybody. I appreciate you being here. And again, Molly, thanks for having me. So anyway, I am Brent Kesler, and the name of my company is called the Money Multiplier, and I'm actually located down here in Florida. I'm about an hour east of Orlando. I'm in a town called Port Orange. I bump up next to Daytona Beach. And so tonight I'm going to teach you how to build your wealth through your own debts and expenses that you already have. And actually, this is a concept that I don't know if you've heard about it before. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But again, it's going to be outside of the box thinking. I'm going to show you how to pay off your debt, how to recycle and recapture your money, and how to have your dollars grow in a tax-free environment where you have total 100% control. So as I said, this is an outside of the box concept. So I want you to keep an open mind. I'm going to go for about 90 minutes, and I'm starting here at 6:06 Eastern time. So I'm probably going to go to about 7:36 Eastern time. So anyway, just hang with me. I promise you the juice will be worth the squeeze in this information that I'm going to share with you. Now, okay, on the initial screen, you have my information. You have my texting number, my email, and also the website as well. Well, anyway, so who am I? So, okay, as I said, I'm Brent Kesler. I'm actually a chiropractor. That's right. I no longer practice chiropractic anymore. I haven't practiced actually in an office since 2008. I sold my last clinic in 2017. I actually had 5 clinics in the Kansas City area. And actually this concept that I'm going to share with you tonight, I first heard about it and I learned it at a chiropractic conference. And it was in 2006 that I went to this chiropractic conference and I heard this individual speak on this concept that I'm going to share with you tonight. And I thought, man, that looks really, really good. However, it just looks too good to be true, right? Have you ever seen something like that where you watch something and it just looks way too good to be true? Well, that was me. I saw this and I said, it looks good, but it looks too good to be true. Well, after that conference, I had gone back home and actually totally, so like probably in a week or so, I forgot that I had even heard the information, right? So then I go back to another chiropractic conference 2 years later, and about 10 or 12 of my colleagues are there with me that were at the previous one. And I mean, they were just coming up to me and they were ranting and raving about this banking concept. They were talking about how they were paying off their debt, recapturing, recycling dollars, all without working harder, changing your cash flow, taking any additional risk, or losing control. all they did was add one step in their financial life. So I thought to myself, there has to be something to this, right? There's no way that 10 or 12 of my closest colleagues are lying to me. Maybe one or two, but not 10 or 12. So I come home and I tell my wife, I said, honey, I said, we've got to start implementing this concept in our life. And it was February of 2008. And at that time, February of 08, I was $984,711 in debt. That's what I owed to the third-party creditors. Now, I know you're probably thinking, how does a guy from Kansas get to be almost $1 million in debt, right? Now, I know if you live in California, that buys you a small house. However, in Kansas, it buys you a lot. Well, anyway, so how was I in that debt? Well, I actually had the house that I lived in. I had my chiropractic office. I had my student loans. I also had a lake condo on the Ozarks, right between St. Louis and Kansas City at the Lake of the Ozarks. And obviously, if you have a condo on the lake, you have to have a boat and a wave runner, right? You can't have a condo on the lake without a boat and a wave runner. And I'm also an airplane pilot. So as an airplane pilot, I had to have my own airplane. So it didn't take me a lot to become about $1 million in debt. Well, I was able to apply this process that I'm going to share with you tonight, and I was able to pay that debt off in 39 months. 3 years and 3 months. I never had to work any harder, change my cash flow, take any additional risk, or lose control. All I did was added one step in my financial life, and that's what I'm going to show you. Now, as I go through this, you're probably going to have questions, and I get it. All right, because it is outside of the box thinking. And I have my daughter, which is also my assistant. And so anyway, so her name is Hannah, and she will be answering questions in the chat box. At the end, if there's some time for some questions, we'll do that. But if not, I'll make sure that you have access to, all right, and that way we can get all of your questions answered, okay? Now, okay, on the screen, actually, there's a book there. It's called Becoming Your Own Banker. So this book, Becoming Your Own Banker, by a guy named R. Nelson Nash. Now, this is a book that you definitely want to add to your wealth building library. This book completely changed my financial life. So I definitely recommend that you get that book. The thing you can do is you can call us or order it or just go to our website, www.themoneymultiplier.com, or you can go to Amazon and get it, right? Also, there's 2 audios that you can also get with the book, because if you're like me and you have a little ADD or have a hard time sitting still, anyway, you might want to get the just the 2 audios that go with it as well. All right. Now, so there's another book that you see here, and it's called Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. And actually, I wrote this book with a client of mine, which is now a colleague. And anyway, this book came out about 10 months ago, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. It was me and Chris Naugle that wrote the book. Now, a lot of you may have heard of Chris Naugle. He's very active in like the world of real estate. He lives in Buffalo, New York, and he has a company called Flip Out Academy. And Chris has actually been in the real estate world for quite some time. He was also a financial advisor for 16 years as well, and he's had a couple TV shows. His most recent one was on HGTV. It was called Risky Builders. So a lot of you guys may know Chris from there. Now, just to be totally clear of what we're going to be talking about for about the next 90 minutes, we're going to talk about money. And the thing we're going to do is talk about how to build wealth, how to grow your money, how to recycle and recapture and get all of the money back for every purchase that you make. As a matter of fact, before I end tonight, I am going to show you how you're going to get every dollar back for every car you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life. So here's what that means, okay? The thing that you do, if you go and buy a car, now I don't even know you, but I know how you buy a car. The thing you do is you buy it one of 3 ways. You pay cash for it, you bank finance it, or you lease it, right? Because I know you guys are all honest and you didn't steal the car, right? So the thing you have to do is you have to give your money to the car dealer. The car dealer gives you the car. He's got the money, you have the car, transaction is over, everybody goes home happy. Well, I'm going to show you how you're going to do that exact same thing, the thing you're going to give okay, the car dealer the money. He's going to give you the car. So he's got the money, you have the car. But now we're going to add one step into that process, and I'm going to show you how to get all the money back for that car. And if I can show you how to get all the money back for the car, guess what else I can show you how to do? How to get the money back for a house, how to get the money back for an airline ticket, for a cell phone, a big screen TV, a piano, a chandelier, whatever it is, whatever product and service, I'm going to show you how to get that money back. All right, so keep an open mind. Now, I'm going to give you a little homework. I'm going to save like 7 minutes tonight, and I'm not going to play this video. But after I'm done, I want you to go watch this video. It's on YouTube, and it's called The Backward Bicycle, and it'll just get your mind right? Even if you don't like the stuff that I'm going to present tonight, this is a really cool video. It's called The Backward Bicycle, and I'm just going to play just a couple seconds of it so you can see when you go to YouTube exactly how it's going to look.
Hey, it's me, Destin. Welcome back to Smarter Every Day. You've heard people.
Okay, so it's called The Backward Bicycle. So again, I want you to write that down. Now, hopefully you all got pens and paper because you may want to take a couple notes, and also you may have questions that you think of. And again, if you have a question, yes, you can type it in the chat box. Hannah will answer it. But even if she doesn't get to your question, you're not going to remember it. You'll forget your question. I always say a short pencil is better than a long memory. So write it down. Yes? All right. A guy named Will Rogers. Here's what Will Rogers says. He says, the problem in America isn't so much what people don't know. It's what people think they know that just ain't so. So a lot of the stuff you've been taught about money and wealth may not actually be the truth. I'm telling you, I'm going to challenge your mind. I'm going to challenge your mind about the way you think of money. The concepts that I'm going to go over tonight is not being taught. It's not being taught. It has not been taught by your parents, your grandparents, your friends, your colleagues, and your coworkers. So again, keep an open mind as I share with this. Now, the thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how does your money flow, and just like I said in the car example, the method to get all of your money back. But in order to do that, here's what we have to agree on for the next hour or so. We have to agree on a definition of money. So if I ask you to tell me what is the definition of money, you would give me all kind of answers. Well, just for tonight, the next hour or so, our definition of money is going to be a means of exchange. That's all money is it not? It's simply a means of exchange, right? So the thing that you do with money every day is you exchange it. You exchange food for money, money for food, car for money, money for car, house for money, money for house, right? That's all we do with money. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about the Money Multiplier Method. We'll talk about the mysteries of money. The machine, there is a specific machine, a specific tool that we're going to use to build our wealth. And I'm going to go over that with you in just a couple minutes, and it's going to surprise so many of you what that machine is. We'll talk about the mission, the marathon. This is not a sprint. It's not a get-rich-quick deal, right? This is one thing that you're going to want to add in your financial life, and it'll drastically improve your financial life, I promise. We'll talk about the millionaire and the movement. All right. So let's get going. So anyway, I have 3 calculators here on the screen. And if you notice, the calculator on the right is your checking or your savings account. I'm going to say that you have $25,000 in your bank account. Okay. And in that bank account, that $25,000, here we go. Let me put it up. $25,000. And in that account, that $25,000 is paying you 4%. So this is an account that you have at your local bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, the bank that you bank at. All right. Now, look, I know your checking and savings account is not paying you 4% interest. All right. I get it. But I'm going to make believe that you found a really, really good bank account or a really good bank, and they're paying you 4% interest on your money. So I'm going to be your banker in that local bank. So we'll just call me Banker Brent, right? All right. Now, okay. So anyway, the thing we'll do is we'll call me Banker Brent, and I'm going to say that you are in the market to buy a new car, and that car is going to cost you $25,000. So what you do is you come into my bank, And you say, Brent, I want to take the $25,000 out of the bank that's earning 4%, and I want to go pay cash for that car. And I say, no, 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 no. You do not want to pay cash for that car. Instead, I'm going to make you a loan for $25,000, and I'm going to charge you 6% interest. Now, if we go to a bank to borrow money to buy a car, how long do we normally finance it? Could be 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years. Let's just say 5 years or 60 months. So here's what I'm saying, okay? I'm telling you to leave that $25,000 that you have in your checking account that's earning 4%. I want you to leave that in the bank. Don't take that money out to go pay cash for the car. Instead, I'm going to make you a loan for $25,000, and I'm going to charge you 6% interest. And over the same equal time period, 5 years or 60 months, our bank will pay you more money on the 4% that you're earning than you'll pay us on the 6% that you're borrowing. Now, is that a true statement? In other words, is it possible for you to make more money earning 4 at the same time you're paying 6 over the same equal time period? And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, no, that's impossible. How can I make more money earning 4 and paying 6? I'm actually losing 2%. Well, the banker told you the truth, and let's walk through it. All right. So $25,000 of the car loan, and you're paying 6%, 5 years or 60 months. That means your monthly payment is $483.32 a month. You take that times 60 months. That means over the course of those 60 months or 5 years, you're actually going to pay just under $29,000 for that car. You're going to pay $25,000 in principal and $4,000 in interest. Are you with me so far? Now, that same money I told you to leave in the bank earning 4% over the same time period, 5 years or 60 months, you actually are going to have $30,525. Now, here's my question, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Is that number, the $30,525, is that a larger number than $28,999, or do you do math differently than I do in Florida? That's right. It's a bigger number. Well, how can that be? How can you have more money earning 4 at the same time you're paying 6? Well, here's how. Because the car payment, the car balance is going down. It is on a decreasing balance. You're making those payments and it's going down. Well, the money that you have in the bank earning 4 is going up. So one goes down and the other one goes up. But see, our minds are not programmed to think that way. We think if we earn 4 and pay 6, we're losing 2, which isn't necessarily true. We have to start learning how money works. Now, this same thing works as if you earn 10% and you pay 20%. That's right. If you earn 10% and pay 20% over this same equal time period, in this example, 5 years or 60 months, you actually have more money earning 10 at the same time you pay 20. Now, let's go back to the 4 and 6% because there's a method to my madness here. All I wanted to do is I wanted to prove to you that you can make money all day long earning 4 and paying 6. That's it. That's all I wanted to prove to you. Now, why is that important? Well, let's talk about the machine that we're going to use to build our wealth. Are you ready for it? This is going to surprise some of you. The machine that we're going to use to build our wealth is a whole life insurance policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. That's right. A whole life insurance policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. What? A life insurance policy? Why on earth, Brent, would I ever want to use a life insurance policy to build our wealth? Well, here's the number one reason we're doing it. Because this is what the wealthy do. This is what the rich do. As a matter of fact, the number one purchasers of whole life insurance in the world are conventional banks. Conventional banks own more in whole life insurance than all of their land and their buildings combined. As a matter of fact, since 2013, conventional banks have quadrupled the amount of whole life insurance that they've purchased. They've quadrupled. Now, why on earth do you think conventional banks are buying so much in whole life insurance? Is it because they're stupid or they know something the rest of us don't know? That's right. They know something the rest of us don't know. So all we're going to do is we're going to mimic and imitate what the wealthy do. Because I know a lot of you are thinking, well, Brent, I know everything there is to know about life insurance, and this isn't possible, and I've never heard about this. Well, No, 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 no. You do not know everything about whole life insurance, because if you did, you would implement this concept to build your wealth. So this concept is not on trial. It's not being tested. It's been around for over 200 years. This is what the wealthy do. The Rockefellers, the Morgans, the Rothschilds, the Stanleys, the Barclays, right? I'm going to show you some examples of people that you know that use policies to build their wealth before we end. Now, remember, I told you that banks are the #1 purchasers in the world. And how can you check out to make sure I'm telling you the truth? Well, go Google something called BOLI, B-O-L-I. It stands for Bank-Owned Life Insurance. And you will see the hundreds of pages that come up about how much whole life insurance conventional banks actually own. So we're just going to mimic and imitate what they do. Now let's go back to that 4 and 6% example. Now, why is that important? Well, here's why. Because inside of the policy, the guaranteed growth rate is 4% in your policy. That's the guaranteed growth rate. Now, that's assuming the insurance company pays 0 in dividends. All the insurance companies I use have been paying dividends for over 100 consecutive years. Even though a dividend's not guaranteed, do you think there's a pretty good chance they're going to pay a dividend this year, next year, 5, 10, or 20 years ago, 20 years from now? Absolutely. But let's assume they don't. The guaranteed growth in your policy is 4%. That's not me telling you. That is actually in the policy contract. Why is the 6% important? The 6% is important because that is the highest interest rate the insurance company is going to charge you to take a loan. So is it possible to make money all day long earning 4 and paying 6? Absolutely. Now, also keep in mind, on this policy, it's a specifically designed, specially engineered whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. It's not just any policy you can go down and buy from your brother-in-law that sells life insurance. It's a specially engineered, specifically designed policy for high cash value. It's not index universal. It's not universal. It's not variable. It's not term. It is a specifically designed whole life policy that has high immediate cash value. My definition of high immediate cash value is cash value within the first 30 days. Any of you that have ever seen a whole life policy, how much cash value do you have in year 1? 0. Year 2, 0 or very small. Year 3, not much more than that. You have high cash value immediately, and my definition of immediately is within 30 days. All right. We talked about the definition of money, didn't we? We said the definition of money is nothing more than a means of exchange for products and services. What about who believes in compound interest on this call? A lot of you guys believe in compound interest. You've all been taught, parents, grandparents, friends, colleagues, compound interest is a great thing, right? Well, let's talk about compound interest for a minute. The only way compounding works is your product or your money has to sit still, right? So for example, if I want this $20 bill to compound, guess what I got to do with it? I got to take it down. I got to give it to the bank. And all right. And now I put the money in the bank and the money has to sit. It has to sit and compound in order for me to earn compound interest. If I go back and get that money out in say a week, a month, a day, it's no longer compounding. Okay. So now, however, motion is a natural law of God. Everything around us is in motion, is it not? The cars are driving up and down. The birds are flying. I'm sitting here and I'm talking. My lips are moving. My hands are moving. I'm typing on the computer. I ate a meal earlier today. The food's in motion through my body. How many of you would want to eat fish out of a stagnant pond? None of you. How many of you actually went to the grocery store? Okay. How many of you went to the grocery store this past week and you went down the grocery store aisle and you were in the fresh produce aisle? How many of you bought fresh produce that you did not intend on eating? None of you. Because if you didn't intend on eating, you wouldn't buy it because you know it's going to spoil. It'll sit and compound and spoil, right? So, all right. So anyway, so like banks don't use compound interest, right? I ask you, who uses compound interest? All right. Okay. So name me one company in the world that actually uses compound interest. One company. You pick any company you want, and most of you will tell me banks, that banks use compound interest. Well, is that really true? Do banks use compound interest? No, they don't use compound interest, do they? They pay you compound interest and they charge you compound interest, but they don't use it themselves. And here's what I mean. If I took this $20 bill, highlighted in yellow, put my initial on it, and I took it down to the bank, all right, so anyway, does the bank teller take my $20 bill? Do they go to the back room of the bank and there's a little box back there in the back room that says Brent Kesler, and that's where they keep my $20 bill until I come back and get it? No. If I go back and get this same $20 bill out in a week, a month, a day, are they going to give me the same $20 bill back that I gave them? No. Why aren't they going to give me the same $20 bill back? Because they're keeping it in motion. So banks don't use compound interest. Let me ask you this. How much money does a grocery store make if groceries are compounding on the shelf, if they're not moving? Zero. How much money does a car dealer make if cars aren't moving off the lot? Zero. How much money does, say, a hotel make or an airline make if nobody is traveling and they're not staying in the hotel and they're not flying? Zero. Not one business in the world actually uses compound interest. So isn't it strange, isn't it a little bit strange that all the major institutions that promote compound interest, banks, Wall Street, mutual funds, insurance companies, they all tell us to park our money with them and leave it sit still, but they don't leave it sit still themselves. Isn't that a little, right? Isn't that a little strange? If it was so good to let your money sit and compound, why aren't they doing it? I'm just trying to get you to think about what's going on. Now, a lot of you, guess what you have? You have a 401k, an IRA, or a qualified plan, right? And the reason you have that is because you want to save money for the future, right? Well, let me ask you this, okay? Or actually, that's what your grandparents taught you, your parents, your friends, colleagues, and coworkers. Hey, let's max out our qualified plan, our 401k or IRA. That's what everybody else is doing, so you're doing the same thing. Well, let me ask you something about your 401k, IRA, qualified plan. Number one, are there any guarantees at all with that? Well, no. There is one guarantee. It's guaranteed to never go below zero. But how exciting would that actually be if that went down to zero? That would suck, wouldn't it? Number two, who's controlling that money? You or somebody else? Someone else. Number three, how long do you have to leave that money in that plan in order to get it out without paying the penalty? That's right, age 59 and a half. So let's just assume you're 40 and you just started your 401k, IRA, or qualified plan. How long you got to leave the money in there before you get it out without penalty? 59 and a half, so about 20 years. See, even when you go get it out, you got to pay tax on the money. So the only thing you're avoiding is the penalty. If you're younger, it's longer. If you're older, it's a little shorter, right? Okay, now, all right. So I want to ask you a few questions about your 401k, all right? Number one, okay, is a dollar worth more today or in the future? It's worth more today. And if you ever forget that, think about how many candy bars you could buy 20 years ago for $1, how many you can buy today. Question number two, all right? Question number two, are taxes going to go up or go down? That's right, they're going to go up. The history has been that they're going up. And just last week, we have a new president. He told you taxes are going up. He didn't hide it. He's not making a secret, right? He told you taxes are going to go up, and you know they have to because of all the crap we've been going through the last year. Somebody has to pay for all this, do they not? Number three, if you have a choice to pay tax on the small amount of seed or the large amount of the harvest, which one would you rather pay tax on? Yeah, that's right, the small amount, the seed. I agree with all three of those answers, yes? But by you putting your money in a 401k, IRA, or qualified plan, you are violating all three of those answers, because what you're doing is you're giving up good dollars today to get paid with non-guaranteed dollars in the future. You're compounding your tax because your tax is always going to be there. And when you do pay it, you're going to pay it on the higher rate. I'm just trying to get you to think about what's going on, right? Now, let me ask you this, okay? You said money is a means of exchange. That means food equals money, money equals food. So let's say we all leave here today and we go to the grocery store. And what we're going to do is buy a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk, okay? We're going to buy a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk. Well, are you going to bring that bread and milk home, and are you going to wait 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years to drink the milk or eat the bread? No, man, that would be crazy, wouldn't it? Well, what if we go buy a car or house today? You're going to wait 5, 10, 20 years to drive the car and move in the house? No, that would be ridiculous. Well, why then? Why are you doing that with your money? Because you told me all those things equal money. See, people do things with money that they would never do with things that money buys. You would never buy a loaf of bread, put it in the freezer, bring it home, and wait 20 years to eat it, would you? Never. But you'll put money in a 401k and IRA qualified plan and wait to use it, right? So, oh, wait a minute, but guess what you tell me? You say, Brent, but on that 401k IRA, I get a match. I get a match. All right, let's assume that you get a match. Although, do you really get a match? Because if the principal isn't guaranteed, then how can the match be guaranteed? But let's go with your theory and say that you get a match. So here's what we do, right? We say food is money, money is food. We go buy a loaf of bread. We bring that loaf of bread home and we put it in the freezer and it sits there for 20 years. And then we open up the freezer and guess what we have when we open up the freezer? We have 2 loaves of bread. That's right, 2 loaves because you got a match. How much better is that second loaf of bread going to taste? That's right, it's still going to be freezer burnt. All right, one more thing and I'm going to leave this. Now, I want you to tell me every single thing that you know about your 401k, IRA, qualified plan, your retirement account. Tell me everything that you know about it. Wait a minute. Don't tell me. I will tell you what you know. You know one of 2 things maybe. The thing you know is if it goes up or down based on the quarterly statements that you get. And you may know if it's in a low, moderate, or high risk category. But other than that, you guys don't know crap about your retirement account, do you? And somebody else is controlling it. Now look, so maybe a couple of you do, but most of you don't. All right. Now, oh, last thing. Let me ask you this. Now answer it honestly. Answer it honestly. How many people have you ever met in your life at retirement age? I want you to think about that. At retirement age, how many people have you ever met in your life that are totally happy, ecstatic, joyful, and excited, delighted about how their retirement plan has performed for them? Probably not a lot, if any, because you all know people at retirement age that are working at retirement age, not because they want to be, because they have to be for survival, because their retirement plan, 401k, qualified plan, pension, whatever, it did not pan out the way they thought it was going to. Just trying to get you to think. All right, let's move on. Now we're going to talk about how a bank works. This is how the bank works. You all probably on this call, you have a conventional bank account, right? And the Bank of America, Bank of Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, a big bank, little bank, it doesn't matter. The thing that you do is you take your money and you deposit it into the bank. Now, I'm going to say that you found a really good bank, and I'm going to assume you deposit $100,000. Don't get wrapped up in the number. It can be $1 or $1 million. I want you just to get the concept. So every time you put money into that bank, that money is now a liability just to the bank because they owe you interest, right? They have to pay you interest, so that's a liability. Well, how does the bank turn your money into an asset? They loan it. Loans are assets to banks, right? They loan it out to you and other people. So a loan is an asset to a bank. But guess what we think of when we think of the word loan? We think of payment, debt, expense, or liability. We have to start thinking the way that the bank thinks. So here's what the bank does with your money. They loan it to you or someone else. How many of you have ever gone to the bank to borrow money for a house? Maybe quite a few of you, right? So let's just assume it's 7%. Now, don't get wrapped up in the numbers. I want you to get the concept. So the thing that you do is all the money you leave in the bank. Now, what you do is you go back to the bank and you say, Mr. Banker, I want to take a loan of my money, the depositor's money, to go buy a house. And they're going to charge you 7% interest, right? They'll charge you 7% interest. So if you borrow money from a bank, are you expected to pay them back with interest? Absolutely. So who's in control of that transaction? The bank. What about a car? Have you ever went to the bank to borrow money for a car? Let's call it 8%. Absolutely. If you borrow money from a bank to buy a car, you got to pay it back with interest. Who's in control of that transaction? Hang on, drink of water. Okay, how about yep, and it goes back in the banking system. How about a house remodel? Have you ever borrowed money, like a HELOC? You know, so the thing you might want to do is granite countertops, a swimming pool, a patio, a deck, a basement, right? So you borrow at 9%. That money goes back in the banking system. And finally, let's do a debt consolidation loan. Let's pay back all the credit cards at 12%. That money has to go back in the banking system. So who's in control of all of these transactions? That's right, the bank is in control. Because see, all money does, okay, or all banks do, is they move money in, move it out, move it in, move it out, move it in, move it out. It's constantly in motion. That's why that $20 bill that I left there and I went back in an hour to get it, that was highlighted and initialed, they don't give me the same $20 bill back because they're keeping it in motion. Now, I know it's pretty late on a Tuesday. Let's now see how well you did and how well the bank did. I know math is not probably something you want to do, but I'm going to make it easy. So remember I said you found that really good bank and they're going to pay you 4% interest on the money that you leave there. The bank is going to take that money and loan it to you or someone at 7. So the bank made 7 and you made 4. How much more did the bank make than you? 3%. Well, on the car, the bank made 8, you made 4. How much more do they make than you? 4. House remodel, they made 9, you made 4. 9 minus 4, they made 5% more than you. And finally, the debt consolidation, they made 12, you made 4. 12 minus 4 is 8. So they made 8% more than you. Add those up. The bank made 20% and you made 4%. The bank made 20 and you made 4. Here's my question. How much more did the bank make than you? Well, they made 20, I made 4. Your answer is 16%, is what I hear most of the time when I speak on this. You're close. 16% is close. What about 500% more than you? 500%. Because look, if you made $4 and the bank made $20, didn't they make 5 times the amount that you made? Yes. Banks are making between 400 and 1,300% on the money you leave there each and every year. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Brent, I hear you flapping your gums and moving your lips and telling me all of this, but how do I really know that's true? Well, here's how you can check out what I'm telling you. Go to something called BauerFinancial.com, B-A-U-E-R, BauerFinancial.com, and you can look up any bank that you want. Get their annual report. Big bank you all know the names of, or small little hometown banks. And in that annual report, you will see that banks make no less than 400% annually on the money you leave there each and every year. Each and every year. I don't care if you get the report from this year, last year, 20 years ago. As a matter of fact, if you find a bank that makes less than 400% on your money that you leave there, call me up and I'll change my presentation. I've been speaking on this for 9 years. It'll be 9 years in March that I've been speaking on this concept. And I've been asking people for 9 years to find me a bank that makes less than 400%. Nobody's done it yet, but maybe you'll be the first. All right. So all I want you to do is be the bank. You're going to be the bank because look, all of you guys are doing these transactions anyway, are you not? You're buying houses, you're buying cars, you're doing remodels. All you're going to do is be the bank and keep control of that money. How much risk did the bank take to do all of this? How much risk did they take, right? Well, whose money did they use? They used your money. So they really didn't take any risks, did they? Because they used your money. Now, I will agree that interest rate offsets risk. So the higher risk that you are as a borrower, the higher interest rate you're going to have to pay. But if you're too high of a risk, is the bank going to loan you the money anyway? No. All right, let's move on. There you go. There's the resource. Banks make between 400 and 1,300% on the money that you leave there. BauerFinancial.com. Okay, I'm going to skip this next part, but I will show you before we end, I'll show you how to go and watch anything that I leave out. All right. Now, this is going to get into the exciting stuff. All right. And also, so when you go to my website, www.themoneymultiplier.com, if you click under the resources tab and presentation, I have all of these downloadable handouts on there so you can print them out and study them in great nauseating detail. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get all the money back for every car you're going to buy, drive, and own. That's right. Not only are you going to buy the car, but you're going to get all the money back too. All right. Now, is that going to be pretty cool if I show you how to get all the money back on every car you'll buy for you and your family for the rest of your life? I hope you say yes. All right. If you say no, then I don't know what's going on. But let me ask you this question. I want you to think of all the cars that you bought, driven, and owned. Now, unless you're 16, 17, or 18, you're probably on your second car or more. You have went through life and you've bought and sold cars, and you're going to continue to go through life and buy and sell cars. Out of all those cars you bought, driven, and owned up to this point in your life, how much of the money do you have today? Zero. That's right. All right. Does anyone have more than zero? No, not unless you're practicing this concept. So if I do nothing else but show you how to get all the money back, it's been a pretty good evening, has it not? Yes. Now, remember what the machine is that we're going to use to build wealth. That machine is a whole life insurance policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. So it is a life insurance policy. And when you have a life insurance policy, you pay premium into the policy. And I know anytime you pay insurance, guess what you think? You think it's a payment. And this is a payment too. But you have to think of it like a deposit, because if it's going into an account that you control and you're able to use that cash value immediately, is it treated more like a payment or a deposit? It's a deposit. And have you ever made too many deposits in your life? No. And what word do you like better, payment or deposit? Deposit, right? So you got to think of it as a deposit. You got to ride that backward bicycle. It's a little bit of a paradigm shift. Now, age doesn't matter and death benefit doesn't matter. We're not talking about age and death benefit. Let's blow this up a little bit. If you notice on these columns that I have across here, I have age and death benefit are grayed out, because you don't have to worry about that, because we're not meeting here today to talk about death benefit. See this column that says cash, value available? That's what we're talking about, is cash. So don't worry about age and death benefit. But even though I just told you not to worry about it, I know there's 2 or 3 of you on this call that are type A and very analytical, and I'm driving you crazy right now because you think I'm not going to explain age and death benefit. So let me go over it quickly. Let's just say we have 3 people, all different ages, but they're all in the same health. I don't care what age you pick. 10, 20, 30, 20, 40, 60, 30, 50, 70, okay? They walk into the same life insurance store, they're in the same equal health, and they're going to put in $10,000 into their life insurance policy. Now, don't get all freaked out on me and say, oh my gosh, Brent, I would never put $10,000 in a life insurance policy. That's okay. You can put the amount of money that you want into the policy. You decide the amount you want to put in. I will never tell you how much to put in. I have almost 3,000 clients in every state of the country. I have people that put in $200 a month, and I have people that put in $3 million a year. You decide the amount you want to put in into your policy. I won't tell you, all right? In this case, we're going to do $10,000. So all 3 of those people, but they're all in equal health. They go to the same life insurance store today. Well, who's going to be able to get the most death benefit for that premium? Well, obviously the youngest person. Who's going to get the least death benefit? It'll be the older one. That just makes sense, doesn't it? That's right. But remember, we're not talking about death benefit. We're talking about cash. So let's take those same 3 people and let's talk about the cash. So let's walk into the store with a $20 bill. We're all going to walk into the same grocery store with a $20 bill. The only thing that's different with this is our age. Who's going to be able to buy the most groceries for that $20? Who's going to get the most? It doesn't matter. That's right. Because it doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter the language you speak, the color of your skin, how good you're dressed, how well you smell. The same $20 buys the same amount of groceries for all of those people. So does age matter when we're talking about cash? No, it doesn't. And I'm driving this point home because I talk on this. I do 50 to 70 events a year. And people always say, I'm too old to do this. No, you're not too old to do it because age only affects the death benefit, not the cash value. All right? All right. So now let's look at the other columns. On the left is just time. It's just time that goes by. Year 1 to 8, 9 to 13. And then we have the policy premium deposit. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to put in $10,000 a year for 7 years into the policy. Now remember, you can put in the amount of premium that you want. It can be more, it can be lower. You can pay it monthly, you can pay it twice a year, quarterly, annually, and change it up, whatever you want to do. Okay? But in this case, he's putting in $10,000 a year for 7 years. And if you notice, he's going to go buy a car at the end of the 3rd year, beginning of the 4th year for $25,000. Now, in real life, I would never have you wait to buy the car until the 3rd to the 4th year. I want you to start using that money, that cash available immediately. If you look in year 1, you see the cash available, $58.31. I want you to start using that immediately. And my definition of immediately is within the first 30 days. So just know this, okay? Just for a few minutes, you got to trust me on this. Just know the earlier you start using the money in the policy, the bigger the numbers are going to get, all right, compared to what I'm about to show you. So he's going to borrow $25,000 from the policy, and he's going to go buy the car, and he's going to pay himself back with interest. He's going to borrow $25,000. He's going to pay himself $500 a month or $6,000 a year for 5 years, a total of $30,000. He borrows $25,000 and puts back $30,000. Okay. Now let me ask you this question: if you borrow money from yourself, do you think it's a good idea to pay yourself back with interest? Absolutely, it is. But do you ever do it? No, you never pay yourself back with interest. You take the money out of your account, you go buy the crap that you want, and you never have a system to pay yourself back. But when you borrow from a bank, guess what you do? You pay them back with interest. You don't skip a beat. Don't think twice about it. Here's what you got to start doing. You've got to start paying yourself back with interest the same way you pay a bank back. Because if you don't do that, you're saying your money is not as valuable as the bank's money. So treat your money the same way you treat a bank's money, okay? So he took out 25, put back 30. Now so now we're going to look at exactly what he did here in 8 years. In 8 years, okay, he put in 10 times 7 is 70 under premium deposit. He paid back for the first car, 6 times 5 is 30. So he put in $100,000, did he not? He put in $100,000, but he took out $25,000 to buy the car. So if he put in 100 and took out 25, how much more did he put in than he took out? Well, 100 minus 25 is 75,000. So his true net injection is 75,000, is it not? Yes. So look and see, what is that cash that he has available in year 8? 73,226. So if you take 73,226 divided into the 75,000, which is the net injection, he just got back 96 cents or 96% of every dollar for that very first car. How would you like to have 96 cents of every dollar for every car you're going to buy, drive, and own? Would that be pretty cool? Because how much of the money do you have right now for the cars you bought, driven, and owned? Zero. All right. Now, is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic or crazy that I'm doing? No, man, I just bought a stupid whole life insurance policy and I'm using it to buy the car. You're going to buy the car anyway, are you not? Okay, that car wears out, or maybe you have a spouse and your spouse is tired of walking for the last 5 years. So now you're going to go buy your spouse a car for $25,000 in year 9. Now, I just want you to focus on year 9 to 13. 9 to 13 and see what we did. Well, we took out $25,000 in year 9 to buy the car. Where did that money come from? It came from the $73,226 in cash value. We bought the $25,000 car. I'm no longer paying premium in this policy. Now, you're going to see before I end today why you are never, ever, ever going to want to stop paying premium in your whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. Why you're never going to want to do it. I don't have one client that has stopped paying premium on their policy that's been with me 2 years or longer. It's never happened because of the power of what I'm about to show you. All right. Now, we take 25. We're going to pay back 30. I'm not paying any more premium. I'm just going to pay back Exactly what I did before. 500 a month or 6,000 a year for 5 years. So look at year 9 to 13. What did we do? We took out 25 to buy the car. We paid back 30. Took out 25, paid back 30. So how much more did we put back than we took out? Well, if I took out 25, paid back 30, $5,000 is my true net injection, is it not? Absolutely. Now, how much cash do we have now in year 13? That's right, 95,000. So our cash grew from 73 to 95. That is a $22,000 growth with a $5,000 net injection. How do you like buying cars my way? Is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic that I'm doing? No, man. All I did is I bought a stupid ass life insurance policy and I'm using it to buy my cars. Now you're saying, Brent, that was mean. Why did you use the word ass? Because a couple of you are sleeping, you're not paying attention, you're washing dishes, you're burping the baby, you're walking the dog, watching TV. Get back with me. Now you're awake. I got your attention back. Thank you. All right. So now watch what we did in 13 years. All right. Watch what we did in 13 years. Let's look at year 1 to 13. How fast has 13 years went in your life? Well, let me just tell you this. I'm 53 years old. It seems like just yesterday I was 40. So 13 years goes by pretty quick, does it not? Yes. Okay. So let's see what we did in 13 years. Okay. In 13 years, the thing we did is put in 10 times 7 is 70 under policy premium deposit. We paid back for the first car. 6 times 5 is 30. So 100,000 we put in year 1 to 8. And then in year 9 to 13, we paid 6 times 5 is 30 for a total of 130,000. So we put in 130,000 into this, but we took out to buy 2 cars, didn't we? Year 4 and year 9, 25 and 25, a total of 50. So we put in 130, took out 50. Put in 130, took out 50. So how much more did we put in than we took out? Well, 130 minus 50 is 80. So our true net injection is $80,000. Yes. Look at year 13 cash value available. How much do we have? It's okay to say it. 95,000 and some change. Well, wait a minute, Brent. Are you telling me in 13 years, I put in 130, I put in 100 plus 30 for 130, but I took money out to buy 2 cars, one for 25, another for 25, for a total of 50. So my true net injection is 80,000 and I'm sitting here with 95,000 in cash? That's right. That's true. And if it's true, which it is, how much did those cars cost you to buy, drive, and own? Well, in my simple chiropractic mind, I said, man, I made 15,000 because if my true net injection is 80 and I've got 95, I'm 15,000 ahead. So that I made money on this, right? Well, that's exactly the way it works. But I can't sit here and tell you it cost you nothing because you had to start this concept. So go look at year 1. In year 1, he put in 10,000. The whole 10,000 wasn't available, right? He could only use 5,800, right? So again, are you in this for the short term or the long term? You all tell me long term, but we tend to get hung up in short term thinking. Have you ever read a book by Rick Warren? It's called A Purpose-Driven Life. In that book, Rick Warren says life is like a marathon. It doesn't matter where you start. It only matters how you finish. And this is the game of life. All right. Now, did I just prove to you how you're going to get all the money back on all the cars you're going to buy, drive, and own? Not only do you get the car, but you get the money back. Absolutely. Now, I showed you this example on a $25,000 car. What about if it was a 50? And again, okay, so the reason I use a car in the example is because most of the audience, you understand cars. Because you guys, I bet everybody on this call has either owned a car, driven a car, or ridden in a car. So you understand a car. But let's say this wasn't a $25,000 car. Let's say if it was a $50,000 car, and instead of paying $6,000 a year back, you're paying $12,000. What would happen to those numbers? They would only go up, right? What if mama and daddy had a $50,000 car? They would only go up. Well, if I can do this for a car, what else can I do it for? Well, could I do it for a boat, a bicycle, a piano, a big screen TV, a chandelier? Could I do it for a cell phone? Could I do it for a podcast microphone? a computer, clothes, jewelry, glasses, anything, any product or service, an airline ticket, a hotel bill, your electric bill, your gasoline, your groceries, taxes. Could you get all your money back for your taxes? Could you pay your state, federal, and local taxes and get all the money back? Absolutely, you can. What about charitable giving? Could you give to charity and get all your money back? Oh, wait a minute. A couple of you don't like that. You're saying, Brent, that ain't right. God does not want me to get my charitable giving back. Well, let me just tell you this. If God did not want you to get your charitable giving back, he would not have me on this call teaching you how to get it back, and he would not have you on the call listening and learning how to get it. Do you know any people that are adding wings to any churches? Any poor people? Do you know any poor people adding wings to any churches? Neither do I. It doesn't matter what it is. We are recapturing, recycling. We're getting the money back. We're turning every liability into an asset, every depreciating asset into an appreciating asset. Have you ever heard of a guy named Robert Kiyosaki? Robert Kiyosaki, he's famous for the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but he also wrote a book called Second Chance. This concept, everything I've been explaining to you up to this point, this is exactly what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in his book. But you never saw that when you read it, did you? You went right by it. What about a guy named Tony Robbins? He wrote a book called Master the Money Game. Chapter 5.4 of that book, this is exactly what Tony Robbins talks about, but you never saw it. All right, now there are 3 rules. Look under policy premium deposit. Rule number 1, pay yourself first. Yeah, you want to pay yourself first. Now, I know you guys all heard that before. You've all heard pay yourself first, but see, I don't even know you, but I know what you do with your money, right? Every time you get money in, active income, passive income, investment income, if you get a check in the mail from grandma for a birthday card or a Christmas card, you take that money and you put it into somebody else's bank, the conventional bank of whoever, Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America. You put that money in the bank, right? And guess what you do when you put the money in the bank? You pay everybody else first. You pay the car people, the house people, the student loan people. You pay the food, the gas, the groceries, the electric. You pay the travel, taxes. You pay for Bobby's soccer practice, Susie's piano lessons, and you hope there's money left over for you, right? You have to start paying yourself first. Pay yourself first, policy premium deposit, and then pay everybody else. Rule number 2, pay yourself with interest. Treat your money the same way you treat a bank's money. If you pay the bank back with interest when you borrow from them, but you don't pay yourself back with interest, then what you're saying is your money is not as valuable as the bank's money, and you're violating this concept we call EVA, economic value added. Rule number 3, recycle and recapture your money. So recycle and get all the money back for those debts and expenses that you're already paying, because you're paying for this stuff anyway. You're buying it anyway. Look, I'm not telling you to change what you're doing. Continue to live your life, do the investments, whatever it is that you're doing in your life. All we're going to do is add one simple step in your financial life, and that will drastically improve it forever. All right? So 3 rules. Pay yourself first, pay yourself with interest, recycle and recapture your money. If this works for a car, what else does it work for? Anything. It's infinite, hence called the infinite banking concept, right? There's the 2 books. So a couple more books to add to your wealth building library. Second Chance by Robert Kiyosaki, Money, Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Okay, last thing I'm going to go over. It's going to take me about 20 minutes or so, and then I'm going to be done. Now, this here is called a Money Multiplier Map. This is called a Money Multiplier Map. Now, remember earlier I said that I had $984,711 of debt, right? And I was able to pay that debt off in 39 months, all without working harder, changing my cash flow, or taking any additional risk, all by adding one step. So I'm going to now show you an example, right? Okay, I'm not going to show you mine because it'll take too long, but I'm going to show you a real life example how this individual came into us and he actually had $470,000 of third-party debt. That's what he owed to the third-party creditors, almost $470,000. Now, on your paper, I want you to write down he has 470. As a matter of fact, round down and say he has 450, okay? Now, he comes in and he says, Brent, help me to get out of this financial mess. Help me to break the bonds of financial slavery I don't even realize that I'm in, and start taking control of my own money. So on this map, all right, again, so the thing, okay, all right, so as our client, we design you these maps. This is part of our servicing that we provide you. We provide you with your own map, with your own debts, your own expenses, the amount of premium you're putting in the policy. Not only do we design you one map, we update that every 4 months, 3 times a year, because wherever you're at today in your financial life is not where you were 1, 5, and 10 years ago, and it's not going to be where you're at 1, 5, and 10 years from now, because you're going to go through your financial life, windfalls, downfalls, raises, demotions, right? Buy things, sell things. It's always going to change. Now, never do you pay me a dime. You will never pay me a dime for the services we provide. You'll never pay my company a dime for the services we provide. See, I am the guy you're going to get the policy from. So hopefully if you decide to do this, you're going to buy the policy from me. I'm your servicing agent. That's the only way that I get paid. See, I get paid the same way your car insurance guy gets paid. So if you go to John Smith, the Allstate man, to buy car insurance, the check that you write is not to John Smith. You write the check to Allstate, and then Allstate pays John Smith a commission. That's how I get paid. I make a commission on the policy that you start, okay? So anyway, we got that out of the way. You never pay a dime for any of my services. Now, in this example, if you add the debts up left to right, there's 12 third-party debts, and it comes to just under 470,000. I told you to write down 450 on your paper. Now, he's going to put in 25,000 in premium deposit. You see that under year 1, month 1? The last example was 10,000. This example is 25. It's all good. You decide the amount. If that's too much, do 2,500. If that's too much, do 250 a month. If it's not enough, do more. You decide the amount of premium that you're going to put in. In this example, it's 25,000 a year. So he's going to put in 25,000 a year, and he owes $450,000 of debt. Well, let's assume that there's no interest, which there is, but let's assume there's no interest. How long would it take you to pay off $450,000 of debt at $25,000 a year? Well, 25 goes into 450 18 times. So it would take 18 years. And if you look over here at the house example, look at this, 219 months. So that's about 18 years, give or take a few months, isn't it? So it would take 18 years. So I want you to write down on the paper, he owes 450. He's going to put in 25,000 a year towards the debt, and it should take him 18 years. Now let's walk through this and see how well he does. Okay. Now, if you notice in each of the debts, it shows you who he owes and what the amount is. So in each debt, it shows you the amount he owes, the minimum payment, the interest rate, and the amount he has left to pay on the loan. Okay. So in the very first month of the first year, he puts in 25,000. He immediately, what's the definition of immediately? That's right, within 30 days, he immediately borrows out 14.3. He's going to take that 14.3 and he's going to pay off Discover, Chase, American Express, and Barclays, and he's going to pay Lowe's down from 9,500 to 7,600. Well, he's going to take the money that he paid those first 4 creditors off. He's going to take 160 to Discover, 200 to Chase, 200 to American Express, 228 to Barclays, and now he's going to pay himself back, right? You see the miscellaneous account? That's just his own account. It's his own checking account. He's going to pay himself back $788 a month because he no longer owes the money to the creditors. He's paid those off, but he's used to paying it, so he's just going to pay himself back the same way he was paying the bank back. Now, by doing this, is he working harder, changing his cash flow, taking any additional risk, or losing control? No, he's just changing who gets the money. Okay, now let's go to the end of the first year, beginning of the second year. Month 13. He now puts in premium deposit again of 25. Well, look now. Now he has more money to use than he did in the first year. So now he has 14.8 to use immediately. What's immediately? Within 30 days. Plus, if you notice, in these 12 months, he's been paying himself back into this miscellaneous account for 9,400. So 94 plus 14.8 is 24.3. So now he takes the 24.3, and guess what he does with that? He pays off Lowe's, Nordstrom's, Wells Fargo, and he pays the BMW down from 17,000 to 15,000. So now he takes the money he was paying Lowe's, which was $287 a month, Nordstrom's $276 a month, Wells Fargo $271 a month. He adds that to the $788 he was paying himself, and now he's paying himself $1,622 a month. Is he working harder, changing his cash flow, taking any additional risk or losing control? No. He's just changing who gets the money. That's it. That's it. The sun goes up, the sun goes down. He's living life. All he's done is he's added one step into his financial life. He bought this stupid life insurance policy, and he's using it to pay down the debt. Now, look here in month 18. I think that's month 18. If you notice on month 18, I want you to look at the private loan. The private loan, he only had 7 months left to pay on it. So that paid down off of the normal course of the loan. So what that did now, when he pays that off, he now frees up $922 a month. So what does he do? He takes the $922, adds it to the $1,622 in the miscellaneous account he was paying himself. Now he's paying $25.44 a month. Now, keep in mind, if he doesn't want to pay himself the $922 back, he doesn't have to. That's okay, he doesn't have to, but he was used to paying it, so he's just going to continue to do what he was used to doing. Now, another thing, I don't want you to get wrapped up. I'm going over third-party debt, okay, in these, like in all of these boxes. It doesn't have to be debt. It can be expenses, right? All you got to do is change the name in the box to your tax bill, your electric bill, you know, whatever it is, your gasoline, whatever expenses, your travel, I mean, whatever it is, just change it, right? So don't get wrapped up and think this is third-party debt. No, it's not just third-party debt. It's third-party debt and or expenses. It's every product and service you're going to buy. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to skip through this. Let's get to the end of the second year, beginning of the third year, month 25. Now what does he do? He puts in $25,000 again into the policy, premium deposit. Now, yes, it's a payment, but remember, it's going into an account that we control. And if it does that, it's treated more like a deposit instead of a payment, is it not? So now look what happens when he puts in 25. Look how much he can borrow. $22,000 and some change. That's right, more than the first and the second year. Pretty close to dollar for dollar. We're getting there, right? Because see, here's what happens. As time goes on, the policy gets more efficient. It's guaranteed. It's in your contract. Before you ever accept, sign, and pay for the policy, you see that in the policy. The policy gets more efficient with time. It's not me telling you. You see that in your contract. Today's better than yesterday. Today's better. Yes, today's better than yesterday. Tomorrow's better than today. So now we got the 22.4 plus the 25.9 that we've been paying ourselves previously in month 13 to 24 into the miscellaneous account for a total of 48.3. Well, we take the 48.3, we pay off the BMW. So we add the $500 a month that we were paying BMW to the 25.44 we were previously paying ourselves. And now we're paying ourselves $3,044. 2 months later, we have enough money to pay West Marine. So we take West Marine, $1,261, added to the $3044. We're paying ourselves back $4305. Are you starting to see how this works? Now watch this. If you've been sleeping, now is the time to wake up, because what I'm going to show you now is a mind bender. I want you to look and I want you to see how much premium have we put into the policy in the first 3 years. Well, in month 1, we put in 25, in month 13, 25, and then in the 25th month, the end of the second, beginning of the third year, 25. So we put in $75,000 into the policy, right? Well, how much are we using so far? In the first year, we used 14 and some change. Second year, 14 and some change. Third year, 22 and some change. So which is 50. So we put in 75, we took out 50. Put in 75 and took out 50. So how much is in our policy? Well, if we put in 75 and took out 50, you guys are thinking there's 25,000 in the policy, right? Close. No. All $75,000 is in the policy. It's growing, it's compounding in that guaranteed tax-free growth environment. Even though you're using $50,000 of the money, all $75,000 is in there. And the reason is because when you take a policy loan, the money that you're taking is not out of the policy. No, no, no. You're simply putting your policy up for collateral, and you're taking a loan from the general fund of the policy, from the insurance company. So your money is continuing to compound and grow as if it was all in there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I do not know of another vehicle on this planet that has these features and benefits that allows you to do that. And if you know of one, let me know what it is, because I've been looking now for almost 15 years and I haven't found it. And I've been asking you guys year after year after year, show me something else that works this way. Maybe you'll be the first to show me. All right. Now we get to the end of the third year, beginning of the fourth year. We put in 25 again. Oh, look what happens now. We can borrow almost 26. That's right, more than we put in. So we take that 26 plus the 41.9. We got 67.9, almost 68 available. What do? We pay down the condo. Now look, I don't have enough money to pay off the condo. I've only got 67 and I owe 81. So I pay the condo down from 81 to 12. Because I don't have enough money to pay off the condo, I'm not going to change or increase what I'm paying myself back into the miscellaneous account. I'm going to keep it at 4305. Because remember, I told you I don't want you to work any harder, take any additional risk, change your cash flow, or lose control, right? So now if you look at the end of the fourth year, month 48, now we have enough money to pay the condo off. So now we can add the 1179 we were paying the condo to the 4305, and now we're paying there in month 49 5484, okay, to the miscellaneous account. So then we also pay the premium at the end of the fourth year, beginning of the fifth year, of 25. Well, look now, we put in 25 and now we have just under 27 to use. Well, 27 plus the money we were putting into the miscellaneous account in month 37 to 48, which equals 51. 51 plus the 26 is 78 and some change. We pay the house down from 181 to 102. Now we're only in month 49, okay? Go back and look at your paper. How long did I tell you it was going to take us to do this the other way? Yeah, almost 18 years. Well, we've only got part of the house left to pay for, and we're only in the 49 months. So do you think we may be a little ahead of schedule? Yes. All right, getting close to getting done. At the end of the fifth year, beginning of the sixth year, month number 61. Now what do we put into premium? 10,000. Well, why not 25? Well, I won't go into the details of that, but just know this. When we design your policy, we design it for high maximum cash value immediately. So there's two parts of the policy. There's this thing called a base premium and a paid up additions rider premium. All right. In this example, we put 40% into the base premium, which is $10,000, and the other 60% or $15,000 into the paid up additions premium. So it's a total of $25,000. Well, now what we're going to do, because the policy is more efficient and it's more seasoned, it has more time on it, we're going to drop that paid up additions rider. In other words, we're going to drop 60%. So we're going to take it from 25 to 10,000. Because see, here's what's happening. in the beginning stages of your policy, the base part of the premium really has no cash value. All the cash value is being driven by the paid up additions rider portion. And now that the policy is more seasons or more efficient, the paid up additions rider is not as effective. The base premium becomes more effective. So we drop off that 60% or 15,000. And now we're just paying the base premium or 10,000. Here's how I want you to think about it. Have you ever seen the space shuttle take off into space? I can watch it from my front door. I'm half an hour away from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So, have you ever seen the space shuttle take off on TV or live? Yes. And when the space shuttle gets way up in the air, what happens to those booster rockets? It has a shuttle and 2 booster rockets. When the shuttle gets way up in the air, what happens to the booster rockets? They fall off. Why do they fall off? Because they're no longer needed. They're used up. Well, that's what's happening in the paid up additions rider. Now, look what happens though. Look what happens in month 61 when we put in 10,000. How much can we use right away? That's right, 13,000 and some change. Now, I'm not no math genius or anything, and I'm not the sharpest tool on the shed, but I know this. When you put in $10,000 and you have 13,000 to use immediately, that is a 30% increase on your money that year. A 30% increase. How much of your money do you want growing at 30% in the 61st month? Yeah, the answer is all of it. Now, I'm not going to get to this in my presentation, but tell me what you think it is going to be the next year when I put in 10,000. How much are you going to have? It's going to be a higher number. That's right. Those numbers continue to go higher. No matter what's going on in the world, because this policy is not tied to anything in the stock market, real estate market. This is a policy in a mutual company that has the guaranteed cash value growth. It's not me telling you. You see that in your illustration before you sign, accept, and pay for the policy. Now, look what else we got going down there in month 61. Now we're going to start a second policy. A second policy. And if you work with us, you'll never take 5 years to start a second policy. As a matter of fact, I have almost 3,000 clients in every state of the country. 91% of my clients that have been with me a year or longer come back and buy additional policies. They start additional policies, and 70% of those come back before the first year is even up because they see how efficient we work with them and how effective this process works. Now, the reason I tell you that is because everything I'm teaching you and sharing with you tonight, do you really think if this did not work, do you think 9 out of 10 people would come back for more? Absolutely they would. Okay, now let's see where we're at on month 61, all right? How much cash do we have available? Well, on the first policy, we have 13,000. On the brand new policy, 14,000. And then in the miscellaneous account that we've been paying ourselves for the previous 12 months, month 49 to 60, we have 65.8. Add those numbers up, it comes to 93 and some change. Well, how much do we owe the house? We only owe 90 grand. So we completely pay off that house. So we've totally eliminated all 12 third-party debts, almost $470,000. It didn't take us 18 years. It didn't take us 10 years, or it didn't take us 15 years or 10 years. We did it in 5 years and a month. 5 years and 1 month, we paid off all the debt. How happy do you think that family was? Yeah, they were elated, ecstatic. Now, is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic that we did? No, man. All we did is we added one step into our financial life. We added this policy, and they're using that to pay down the debt. You're going to pay it down anyway. You're going to buy things anyway, right? Why not just add the one step, and it drastically improves your financial life? Now, let's peel back the onion a little bit. How much money did they actually inject to pay off that $470,000 in debt? Well, in the first year, how much premium did they put in? 25? 25 in year 2, year 3, 4, and 5. So 5 times 25 is 125. Plus in year, okay, in month 61, 10. So 125 is 10 is 135. The brand new policy of 25 is 160. So they injected 160,000 of outside money, paid off 470,000 of third-party debt in not it didn't take 219 months or 18 years. We did it in 61 months, all without working harder, changing your cash flow, taking any additional risk, or losing control. Now, if that doesn't excite you, I don't know. I don't know, man. Now, so could they have went faster if they wanted to? Well, sure they could have. They could have started another policy earlier. They could have paid more premium. They could have paid themselves back more than just the minimum that they were paying back, okay, just to the debts. They could have went faster. Could they have went slower? Well, yeah, they could have did a less premium. They could have not started a second policy. They could have decided not to pay themselves back, right? So it's up to you how fast or how slow you go, right? You can go faster, you can go slower. You see, there's absolutely no risk in this concept whatsoever. Nobody has ever lost money in a whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. It's never happened. You do what the insurance company, what you agree on the contract, and nobody has ever lost money. Now, so can you kill the policy? Can you suck all the money out of it early on, never pay anything back? Yeah, you could kill the policy. You could do that, but that's not the insurance company doing that to you. That is you doing it to you. So the only risk factor is what? You are the only risk factor in this whole concept. And who do you know better than you, right? Nobody. All right, I'm going to skip this part, but I'll show you how to watch it. All right. Now, who uses this concept? Well, go look in November 16, 2016. The University of Michigan paid their top or their head football coach, Jim Harbaugh. They made him one of the top paid college football coaches. They are paying his salary through the policy. Why do they do that? Because they can get all the money back. Now, go out and look at it. I was actually in Denver, Colorado on this day. I was about to give a live presentation, and I got there a little early. It was a morning presentation, and I opened up my computer, and I wanted to go to the sports score. So I went to ESPN.com, and this article was there, okay? What about Disneyland? Walt Disney. Have you ever heard of Walt Disneyland? Look, Walt Disney failed to get to in the traditional means of financing. In other words, he failed to get money from a bank. A bank wouldn't give him money because he wanted to start Disneyland. Isn't it crazy how banks, all right, so how banks, the thing is, if you really need the money, they make you go through the proctology exam to get it, and sometimes they don't even give it to you. But then when you have the money, they're like, let me give you more. Isn't that the craziest thing ever? Well, because he failed to get traditional financing, he had a large part of it came from collaterally, remember, putting his insurance policy up for collateral and borrowing from the general fund of the insurance company. He had to borrow from his insurance policy in order to start Disneyland. I don't know. Who knows if there would even be a Disneyland if he wasn't able to get it going? Who knows? Ray Kroc with McDonald's. He had to use money for cash to help with cash flow during some times when he was starting the business called McDonald's. He had to borrow from his 2 cash value life insurance policies. He also used some of that money to start that mascot we know all know of as Ronald McDonald. Actually, I was thinking, is just like Ronald McDonald still around anymore? I mean, if you're like 18 years old or younger, you may not even remember who Ronald McDonald is, right? I don't know, just thinking. Pampered Chef, a lady named Doris Christopher. She had to take $3,000 she borrowed from her insurance policy to start this business in 1980 in her Chicago home, which she later sold to Warren Buffett for $1.5 billion. Who knows if she would have ever started it if she didn't have the money? Another example, go look at Joe Biden, our new president. Joe Biden tells you, now I haven't looked at this in about 3 years, and it may even be more now, but again, don't take my word, go look it up. Joe Biden tells you he doesn't keep money, he doesn't store money in a conventional bank. He stores his wealth in whole life policies. The last I heard, he has 6 whole life policies in a mutual company. And that's a company that I actually write business in. All right. So again, Joe Biden, I mean, right. Again, guys, don't take my word. Go look it up. Go look J.C. Penney's. Go look Stanford University. Go look Foster Farms. Okay. Look it all up. Now that you know this information I shared with you, everybody should be doing this, because if you don't do this, Not only are you stealing from yourself, but you're stealing from your spouse, your children, grandchildren, and future generations to come because you're letting money leave the family. See, I don't care if you make $10 an hour or $10,000 an hour. Everybody needs to break the bonds of financial slavery you don't even realize you're in and start taking control of your own wealth and your own money. Now, oh, look, here's how simple it is. Now, listen, guys, I'm not the brightest candle on the cake, the sharpest tool on the shed. Some people say I'm a couple donuts short of a dozen. All right. It took me 13 trimesters to get through 10 trimesters of chiropractic school because I kept failing classes. When I finally did get out of chiropractic school, I couldn't actually practice because I had to pass these things called the national board exams. And in the state of Kansas, you needed part 1 through 4 and another thing called PT. And I kept failing. I failed part 3 times, and they only give you the exam every 6 months. So I'm not the brightest candle on the cake, but I understand this. And here's what I think about. Here's a quote that I think about almost every day of my life. And this is how simple it is. See, I like things to be simple. I don't like to overcomplicate things. And this is how simple it is. Have you guys ever heard of a guy named Warren Buffett? I don't know when he said this, but I first heard it in October of 2008. I think about this quote every day of my life. And here's what Warren Buffett said. He said, if poor people would just start doing what rich people do, they wouldn't be poor anymore. How much sense does that make? All we're going to do is mimic and imitate what the wealthy do. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I mean, again, right? Like I said earlier, this concept is not on trial. It's not being tested. It's been around for over 200 years. This is what the rich do. All I'm doing is playing the game that they're playing. I'm doing exactly what they are and building wealth right along with them. All right, I will tell you, I personally have 19 of these policies. I do just under $500,000 in premium myself, and I buy at least one policy every 12 to 18 months. I design your policy the same way I design mine. I don't put any secret sauce on mine that I don't put on yours. I have 3 kids, age 19, 21, and 32. They all live in their own houses. They all bought their own cars. My oldest son just bought a $50,000 swimming pool. And how did they do it? They did it through the policies. I'm telling you, this is a game changer in your financial life. I know it seems too good to be true. Remember my story? It took me 2 years. 2 years. I thought it was too good to be true. I sat on the sidelines. All right. Only one of 2 things are going to happen to every single one of us on this call. In the next 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months, 10, 20, 50 years. Only one of 2 things are possible. We're either going to live or we're going to die. Now, I like to use the word graduate, but you use whatever word you want, die, pass, graduate. Are we better off with or without this concept if we live? Well, hopefully you think with. What about if we die? Not if we die, when we die, okay? Because it's guaranteed. You are going to die, all right? Is our family, is our beneficiaries better off with or with? With, right? Because of the death benefit. And by the way, how much should I even talk about death benefit tonight? How much should I even talk about life insurance? Hardly at all. How much did I talk about policies are exempt from judgments and liens in most states? Remember O.J. Simpson? He was found not guilty in the criminal trial of killing the Goldman, the Goldman kid and his wife, but he was found guilty in the civil trial. Did the Goldman family ever get money? No. Why didn't they get the money? Where was it at? Another example for a couple of you old timers, the younger ones won't know this. Remember Kenley with Enron? All those people he owed money to, they got a judgment. Did they ever get that money? Why didn't they get it? So how much should I talk about the internal growth of your policy grows tax-free? That's right. It grows tax-free. See, here's what we want to do. We want to pay tax on our money one time only at the lowest rate possible. We want to get that money into a tax-free environment where it's growing tax-free and the government completely out of our hair. Do we not? The loan never has to be repaid back. That's right. Because you're paying your premium into the policy, the loan on your policy never has to be paid back. A loan is simply a prepayment of the death benefit. You're borrowing against the death benefit. The death benefit will always be higher than the cash value or the loan availability. So can the insurance company ever lose? Never, because the death benefit will pay off any outstanding loan. So you're using your good dollars today and you're paying them back with weaker dollars in the future. Okay, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this concept? Well, there might be a lot of reasons, but here's just one.
I want to be a billionaire, so freaking bad. Buy all of the things
All right, if this is something that you think you want to do, okay. Oh, by the way, all you need to do is email me, send me a text. I will send you my ebook, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. I'll just send it to you, the ebook form. And if you want the hard copy of it, ask me for that. And all you got to do is pay the postage. I think, what is that, Hannah, $3, $3.20 or something? Just pay the postage and you can have the hard copy. But the hard copy is the same as the ebook. So just get the ebook. I mean, some people really want the hard copy, but that's up to you, okay? All you need to do is text me or send me your email address. I'll send you that book. All right, now, if this is something you want to do or you want more information on how this will work for you, there's my contact information to text me. Text me at 785-248-9637. You can also email me, Brent, B-R-E-N-T, at themoneymultiplier.com. It's on the screen. Or there's my schedule calendar. So take a picture of this screen. And okay, so like if you want to go over this, go to my schedule calendar, and the thing is, we'll reserve a 45-minute strategy session, and we'll go through and get your questions answered, and you can see how this may or may not work for you. Okay, and if you can't find a time on the calendar, then all you got to do is text me or send me an email, and we'll come up with something else. Last thing, and I'm done. All right, there's a couple parts I didn't go over on the presentation, or if you want to go back and watch the full presentation, all you got to do is go to my website, www.themoneymultiplier.com. At the top of the homepage, click on Resources tab and click on the word presentation. You can watch the full presentation again. You can watch the full presentation again, or if there's anybody that you know that you think should hear this information, if there's anyone you know that you think should hear, please send them to the website, give them the presentation. I appreciate you spreading the love and sharing it with others. Okay, so I'm done. I think I'm actually 2 minutes early. 2 minutes early, Molly. So I'll throw it back to you. I know I'm out of time, but if you want me to answer some questions live, I will. I'm assuming Hannah's been answering them in the chat box, or we can just answer the questions when you email, text me, or schedule on my calendar. I'll throw it back to you, Molly.
Yeah, you know, Hannah's done a wonderful job. Thank you so much, Hannah. Hannah has been our invisible helper here today. She's there, I promise you guys. She's sitting right next to Brent. So I am just astounded. That was such a wonderful presentation. You kept people here all the way through that presentation, Brent. So wonderful job. I don't know how your mouth doesn't get dry. So I just think that was great. People have had some great comments all along. And I have also set an appointment. So you guys, I'm excited to talk to them. I'm sure many of you are excited to talk to them. And I'll see you at the next one.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. See you guys next time. I appreciate your time.
See you guys. Hey, if you guys have questions that you're typing in right now, go ahead and send them over to Brent. He did say his website there at the end. If you guys have questions, go ahead and send them over to Brent.
Yeah, Brent at themoneymultiplier.com. B-R-E-N-T at themoneymultiplier.com.
There you go, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night.